Welcome, Wise Chat. It's Monday, the 20th of May, 2024. Producer Henry here saying thank you for joining us. We hear you have a case of the Mondays. Michael will be here to look at that in just a moment. Don't forget to like that stream as you ease on in, and happy Monday. Hope your week is starting off well.
Whew. It's another Monday. We've all made it. We've all made it to the start of another week. I think, some might say that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Glad that you're all here. Welcome to Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays. It's the only diagnostic stream that exists to diagnose made up existential malaise. So if you are experiencing a physiological manifestation of existential malaise related to the initiation of another week of your life dedicated primarily to sacrificing your own humanity and labor power to create surplus capital for another human being who doesn't know who you are, if that is you, if you are experiencing that, if that is happening to you, then this stream is for you. And I would say it's the only stream for you. If anyone can find another stream that meets that specific set of conditions, then I would like to know what it is, and I would like to file a copyright claim against them. That's what I would like to do. So shout out to everyone who has that incredibly deep and traumatic existential malaise. It's the case of the Mondays. We're glad to see you here. So what's up? Eric and Ann and FunGPT and Beatmaster and Eddie and Taylor, Sensational Stallions, Sean, the Ring of Doom, Sig Bungus, Banana Peel, everyone else. I'm sorry if I miss anyone. It's not intentional. Existential malaise can be your new band name. Ann Porkins is right. The stream does come with more beard. The reality of the beard situation is that since moving, I haven't really unpacked everything yet, including unpacking beard trimmers. So there you go. Oh my God, guys. Eric today stopped working for the man and launched his own business. So let's give Eric a round of applause.
Huzzah.
In the chat. That's really great. And Eric, if your business is ever a thing that you feel, I don't know, like it's something that our audience could participate in or that you want to promote, let us know. We love promoting businesses. I think everyone knows this. We're a business first channel and stream and everything else. So there's one thing I want to share with you guys right off the bat. Let me see if I can grab this link. Something I'm excited about, I'm going to post the link in the chat right now, is that we are on Spotify now. So if you are a Spotify user, check us out. Please follow, leave 5 stars, reviews, those sorts of things. Share it with your friends. We have some of our back catalog on Spotify. You can check it out as video or audio. So that's kind of exciting. We're also going to be getting a version of the Wednesday stream up on there soon. It's a new project for us, so we'll figure it out. But the thing I'm most excited about, I don't know if you guys know people like this, but I mean a lot of folks, especially older millennials, who will tell me they're interested in what we're doing. They find the topics we talk about interesting, but they're not really YouTube users. They're like podcast users. So it's a way for people to check us out who maybe are not big YouTube heads. If you ever like one of our episodes, you want to share it with friends who are, podcast people, you can do it there. A fun thing as well is, as of right now, you have to have a YouTube premium account to do the thing where you have YouTube on your phone and you get in the car, you get in the bus or whatever, and you just want to listen to the audio. You got to have premium to do that. With Spotify's thing, you can just do that regardless. So, check it out. Eddie, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who's followed that. Please like this stream. I love that so much of my life is just begging friends and strangers for forms of algorithmic affirmation. That's a lot of what my life is. That's a lot of what my life is. A lot of my livelihood depends on that. But a lot to talk about today. Jordan Peterson talks movies with I'm just calling him Jack Quaid's dad. And I don't even feel, I'm pretty sure that Jack Quaid is a decently cool, normal guy. And by that I just mean someone who probably does an F with JP. And it has to be pretty embarrassing for him. You know, could you imagine everyone, I want you to imagine this right now. Imagine if your dad was just on Jordan Peterson's show. How would that feel? What would that be like for you? FunGPT says, are you going to do the lives as podcast or the essays original content? So on Spotify, we're going to have Matthew Rotera. I did think about that. Here's the thing, Matthew. I thought to myself, would I rather replace him with Jordan Peterson or have him be with Jordan Peterson? And I thought it would be more disrespectful to have them together. So, but Matthew, let me know if you think I made the wrong move there. But to get back to PhoneGPT's question, we're going to have our standard YouTube videos will be available on Spotify. Our streams, to some extent, will be available. And we're going to do some other stuff. One thing I kind of want to do is interviews. I love interviewing people. You guys have seen us have guests on here before. I love talking to people. So I think Spotify could be a great way to do that. So we're going to watch a little bit of this Jordan Peterson thing today. And I know some of you are like, why are you doing this again? I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to watch this man speak. And the things we like are, we like philosophy, we like theory, and we like the gosh darn cinema. So we want to watch him talk about cinema. But let's start with some of your comments. Can I ask a question? What is the first one that comes up for you, Henry?
The first one that comes up for me is from Arkin Tolas.
Okay.
It's about the very recurring BetterHelp commentary.
So
we
I would
always
rather
get.
end on that one if it's cool.
Okay, we can go in reverse order.
So I'm gonna go. Yeah. So can we start with the one from Rodrigo?
Sure.
Awesome. So we have some comments from Friday's video. Friday's video was on Taylor Swift and propaganda. It was hosted by our friend Helen Flourish. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. Henry, how many Taylor Swift songs have you listened to in your life?
Probably more than I think I have, just because
Yeah.
she's probably been in the background more than I realize. Um, Within the past few years, I haven't consciously sought her out, but when she was doing, in the past, I have kind of explored her discography just to see what's up beyond what's on the radio. And I mean, it's music.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, if people in the chat have opinions as well. I'm honestly very unaware of her music. She seems like she has fun making it. Um, she seems to make people happy, and she seems to make a lot of money while doing it. So good for her. But this comment from Rodrigo Barbosa BR says, this video reminded me so much of Louis Althusser's book, Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses. Now, fun book. It's not a fun book. I mean, it's a good book. It's not a fun book. Althusser, French philosopher, went to jail because this is going to be dark. I'm just going to say, and I'm going to say it. He choked his wife to death, which is not good. Clearly, went to jail for a bit. I guess he got out because of psychosis, but he was an important philosopher. And really, if you've ever read or been into or watched a lecture or something by someone like Slavoj Žižek, a lot of what he has to say about the nature of ideology, we can trace back to Althusser. So someone who's very interested, we're thinking about ideology, we're thinking about structures of thought and belief that are present in a society and its culture that establish kind of a dominant set of values or ways of looking at the world. And we talk about ideological state apparatuses in an incredibly reductive way. We're talking about the way in which the state can have its own set of fundamental beliefs and ideas and assumptions. Often those assumptions that get to us via culture then reinforce dominant systems of power, right? And this person was reminded of that in a Taylor Swift video. I guess the point there would be, Taylor Swift, at least some of her songs, have an emphasis on individual empowerment, individual acquisition, achievement, all those sort of things. And you could make the argument, as the video kind of does, that that sort of consumption-based individualism directly serves the neoliberal economic system that is so dominant in the West. So I think that's probably what Rodrigo is getting at there. Now the next comment, I have the one from Ian Donnelly.
Yeah.
Says, is this why Michael is able to capitalize? I mean, I wasn't even in this video. Why did I have to come up? Is this why Michael is able to capitalize on the plight of the bald and blur the line of consumer and creator during Wisecrack live stream? Yes. I'm the Taylor Swift of bald men on YouTube. I think that's well known, and that is definitely why I'm able to do that. Thank you for that comment, Ian. Next one's from Raziel. It says, because I'm old, I remember music artists in the 90s were preoccupied to no small extent with questions of authenticity and when someone could be considered a sellout. Now artists look forward to their music will be used in a car commercial. They put that in their career plan. Yeah, I mean, I think sellout culture, for those of you who don't know what that is, I feel like it's dead. But in the 90s especially, there was a sense in which if you were an artist, whether that be a filmmaker, a musician, a visual artist, selling out was the worst thing you can do. And selling out is when you used your art, for corporate enterprise, when you changed your art, your image, whatever it might be, to become more successful and monetizable. This could look like artists who would get on a major record label from an independent label. So a lot of like punk and emo and hardcore bands would be accused of selling out if they went from some DIY indie label to a major label. The idea that, back in the day, if Pearl Jam would have, and maybe they have done this, but if Pearl Jam or Soundgarden or someone had their song in a commercial, it would have been like, holy shit, sellouts. And there was this idea that authenticity mattered so much in art. It's almost like today authenticity it doesn't even mean anything anymore, because maybe to get back to that first comment about Althusser's ideological state apparatuses, that we're so deeply enmeshed in the world of individual branding and the idea that you only exist in so much as you exist as a commodity or something commodifiable or whatever, that maybe, yeah, it's interesting that you don't think about selling out anymore. It doesn't even seem like a thing. So I think it's an interesting comment. JKLOL9266 says, great video, Wisecrack. George Carlin once said, you don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. We always love a good George Carlin reference, and we have a few regulars who seem to reference him a lot. Quick plug as well. We piloted our first ever, listener question and advice series on Wisecrack Live last Wednesday. You can go check it out if you want. And we got some really great emails, and I think we had some cool conversations responding to some of y'all's requests for advice and thoughts. So
Yes.
if you want to participate in that, I think we're going to try to do it again this Wednesday. You can email us at wisecracklive666@gmail.com. That is wisecracklive666@gmail.com. Now it's 666 because Wisecrack was born on June 6th, 1966 at 6 a.m. That is the birth of this channel. It was actually born on June 9th, 69, but we got to keep it classy. So send us stuff there. And I would say the two categories of advice, we are confident giving would be questions directly related to our specific interest and expertise, or questions completely unrelated to those things and requests for specific personal advice that I am in no means qualified to give. Those are the two types of advice I'm interested in giving. Okay, so this last comment's from Arkantolis, and it says, so everyone just forgot about BetterHelp and the shit they do. Great. So let's be honest, guys. Let's put on my honesty cap right now. Normally I'm a liar, and normally I sit here and I lie to you. I want to see who my old heads are who in the 90s had a song and music video which featured some 666 vibes. It was on MTV a lot, and it was called Liar. Name the artist for me. I'm not looking at the chat right now, so I'll go back and check it. But name the artist. Had a mid 90s rock song called Liar with a satanic music video. Okay, so here's the deal. About 50% of the comments in the Taylor Swift video are about BetterHelp. There's a BetterHelp ad on that video. People really hate when we do ads for BetterHelp. We don't like doing ads for BetterHelp. If I'm 100% honest with you, I was really glad that I didn't host that video. So it was one less BetterHelp ad that I had to read. Now, I've told you guys this before, but the way it works is there is kind of like a sales ads team that we work with that gets ads for. So it's not like I am calling companies being like, hello, Mr. BetterHelp. But things money wise, tough, hard to stay afloat. So we've been in a position where we have not had the leverage to say to anyone, hey, can we actually turn down money from that company? Now, this is one of the reasons why we've been pushing Patreon so hard. So consider that if you haven't already. I'm really trying to we almost have 1,000 patrons. So let's keep going. But that's why we're pushing Patreon. If we can make, I would say if we can from where we're at with Patreon right now, we're almost to 1,000 patrons. If we could get to 2,500, even 3,000 patrons, I think that would put us in a really strong position to start aggressively turning down ads. The Spotify thing is another way where I'm trying to get us to make some money that will not come via stuff like that. But, we've had to do some of these sponsor deals that we don't like. And as far as I understand with BetterHelp right now, we have one more BetterHelp spot that we are contractually obligated to do. And I think after that, we are really, really, really hoping, knock on wood, fingers crossed, etc., that we're not going to have to do it again. But, maybe this relates to the sellout question. It just becomes an issue of at what point, and maybe you all have thoughts on this, is it worth getting to keep the channel alive? At what point would it be counterproductive for us to, I see Henry Rollins in the chat, by the way. I don't know who the first person to say it was. I see Eddie said Rollins, Beatmaster said Rollins, Kirk said Rollins. Okay, see, we're all of a similar age bracket, or some of us are here. But I think that, let's see. Someone said, if you only comment on the BetterHelp situation on the Friday video, then why comment at all? Modern day James says I'm sounding like a real sellout. But, people hate BetterHelp for a lot of different reasons. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for liking the stream. But, let's see your start. Yeah. So, again, it's just one of those things where I think sometimes we like to draw lines in pencil, ideological lines, moral lines, which are hard to do under capitalism. Because some of the people that get really mad at the BetterHelp thing, I both totally get it. I get that, let me just say it. They're a bad company. They're not good. I don't like them. I don't think they're good. And I think that unless it's your only option because of money, I don't think it's the best mental health resource. You will note, if you ever watch a BetterHelp ad, myself, Helen, never say that we've used BetterHelp. We always just say that therapy is good. I know that's not a lot, but it's something. But you just got to ask yourself, where is the line? What companies are good? What are the good companies? And then if the issue is we don't want you to do sponsors at all, well, hell, we don't want to do them either. But what level of expectation are we comfortable having, or what moral expectations? I don't know the answer to this, because I feel like this sometimes too. Are we comfortable having from people that make stuff that we get for free? I think that's, and I've been mad at podcasts I've listened to. I've been mad at channels I watch for things, but then I have to ask myself, if I'm not paying for it, what can I really do? And there's a podcast I like a lot, and they make YouTube videos as well. And that company has like a rule where they will only do 2 ads per 90 minutes of content, and they work with brands they like. But the issue is it's a sports related thing, and there's brands they can work with that are interested in what they do. It's a little bit harder for us. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I just, I want to be as honest and transparent as possible. Wonder Platypus, are you going to get in trouble? I mean, I hope they don't hear, I hope they don't hear. I hope none of you snitch. I hope no one emails Mr. I would love Dr. Bronner's. I don't think they do ads like this.
I do use Dr. Bronner's, yeah.
So do I. That's a good thing. Okay, I'm going to make a note. Maybe someone ping me later and remind me. I would love to do a Dr. Bronner's ad. But there we go. There we go. That's at least our response to that. Okay, so let's get into it. Thanks for being here again. This is Wisecrack Live. It's Monday, May 20th. How the hell is it May 20th already? Got some fun stuff coming at you this week. I'm trying to think what videos. I always forget what video is coming out when. There's a video coming out Friday, guys. I forget which one it is. Yeah. So video coming out Friday. The video I'm working on that I'm writing this week is on objectivity as it applies to like debate culture and online debate stuff. We might tease some of that today. I'm thinking maybe Wednesday we might have time to get into that longer. So let's, something we like to do. Reagan that was I'm going to pause this on the Monday stream, which is talk a little more, about like media and things like that. Oh, and Adrian Brody was on recently. Okay, so
are you seeing stuff in the related?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so not Adrian Brody, Adrian Grenier, the guy from Entourage. It's so funny the guy from Entourage is on Peterson now. Adrian Brody seems cool. I don't think Adrian Brody would go on Jordan Peterson. Adrian Brody seems like he would be like, suck my dick, Jordan Peterson. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I have not pre-watched this. If it's too brutal, we'll stop. I just love the idea that Jordan Peterson and Dennis Quaid are talking about why we go to the movies. And here's maybe a question. Before we even start, what do we think Jordan Peterson's favorite movie would be? What's up, Helen? What sort of movies would Jordan Peterson like?
I'm thinking he'd like a middling 50s movie, like a lesser kind of Billy Wilder imitator, not so much a Billy Wilder movie himself. Or though he might like a Billy Wilder movie and just totally not get it. Like he might like Ace in the Hole a lot just because this protagonist is enterprising and pursues his best means, even if those means are totally cynical and asshole-ish.
Yeah, I like that. Someone said Birth of a Nation, obviously. Goodwill, I would believe that he would like Goodwill Hunting, but for the wrong reasons. Because you're saying, I bet he likes. He seems like someone who would like good movies, but for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone brought up Starship Troopers. I could see him liking Starship Troopers, but just not getting it.
Full confession, I did pre-watch this, but it is a valuable insight into how he processes fiction and how some of his fans might also view or try to ingest narrative.
Yeah. Matthew Porter says, "God, you're obsessed with Jordan Peterson." In a way, I would say I've said this before. The interesting thing about Jordan Peterson is how influential he is with people. I'll say it this way. Let's be really blunt. I have demographic data on all of you, but we have demographic data on who our audience is, and it's very similar to his audience. There's a lot of demographic overlap between our audience. I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit between our audience and his. So, and I'm in that demographic as well. So let's watch it. And I'm glad that Henry pre-watched it. We should be pre-watching stuff. It's reckless of me that I didn't. Let's get into it. I mean, if you have not liked the stream yet, please do. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you like this stream? What could I do to you? What could I do for you? What could I do to you? That sounded sexual. But what could I do? Okay, let's watch this.
There was something in Reagan that was unknowable. I
just like that the first line is like the unknowability of Reagan. I mean, who knows what you're gonna say, but like, I just love that idea that like there was a magical unknowability to Ronald Reagan.
Find out, and even those that were close to him would say that I don't even know if Reagan was aware of it, but there was something. The great
I don't think he was aware of many things.
Communicator. There was a very private place in there that you could not breach. I'm sure that Nancy
could breach it if you know what I mean. She could get him opened up. I bet she could really,
Crack that
I
egg.
think she could get right to the crack that egg. You know what I mean? Spill that batter, whatever you want to phrase your breakfast.
Knew what that was, but he was a very, very private person underneath it all.
Yeah, well, I wonder,
Oh yeah,
because of the remarkable role he played, there's something singular about that, right? That
it's just like two dudes jerking each other off under a table talking about Ronald Reagan. That's so good.
Just the squint as he ponders what Quaid is saying for a moment.
The beauty of Ronald Reagan, one of the dumbest people to ever be a president of these United States.
There was something unknowable
say,
inside this
integrity
empty and
and
vacuous character.
Yeah, oh my god.
vision that enabled him to see the true nature of the communist threat early, to fight that locally and to learn how to do it, and then to take that battle onto the international stage, right?
Yeah.
To make that the focal point of his presidency.
Yeah, even when he was
Shout out to Central America and South America. They would have some great stuff to say about Ronald Reagan's commitment to fighting communism. Oh, and fighting right-wing guerrilla armies.
really not the
I said fighting, funding right-wing guerrilla armies.
issue.
Right,
Even when
It
if,
didn't
like
have
most
to be
people
the
were
issue.
over here.
I think this is kind of funny too. Okay, we'll watch. I'll stop pausing so much. It's funny to me that Jack Quaid, so Dennis Quaid is Jack Quaid's dad. Jack Quaid is in a TV show called The Boys. The Boys is a very aggressive satirization of the type of ideology embodied by someone like Ronald Reagan. I wonder what he thinks when he watches his son's show. You know what I mean? Like who does he think Homelander is supposed to represent? You know, what side does he think he's on?
Yeah.
About that, he was. And that's what makes a great president is
Yeah.
when they can point out, because they have all the info, and they can say it's here that we
Yeah.
need to go.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I got to feed the troll. Jay Ashland said, "Thank you, Wisecrack, for gatekeeping the filmers genre. I hate that other people view judge movies through the lens of their politics, culture, and not mine. A, we're not gatekeeping the film review genre. Anyone could do anything they want. We have limited power and influence. In terms of gatekeeping, I would like to say that we can't just say like, how would I frame this? There is a level of subjectivity in how we perceive and analyze art, which means that people from a number of backgrounds can take that to various things as much as they want. I think what we can say, Jay Ashland, is that if we look at Ronald Reagan's influence on arts and culture, it's objectively bad. When he was still an actor, he was involved in censoring artists, censoring filmmakers. He was involved in blacklisting actors, writers, producers. Much of that involved, in particular, ruining the careers of a lot of Jewish screenwriters in the industry. I think that's pretty bad. I think that even the context of the thing we're watching, Jay, if they say something good or interesting about movies, I'm not going to say that it's wrong just because I don't particularly like them, but I do think, and Henry, I think more so than me, but as a couple people that are at least pretty well versed in thinking about cinema, both from a critical and creative standpoint, I don't think, I would hope that you wouldn't hear either of us say something like, that take on a movie is bad because I don't like that person's politics, right? But one could say, for example, if someone like a Jordan Peterson said, and again, I'm just putting words in his mouth, so I'm doing this unfairly, but if they were to say like, I really like Starship Troopers because it represents the idea that it's important to band together and patriotically fight against the threat of communism or whatever it might be, right? We could simply say, oh, in this instance, it's clear that he is ideologically projecting or reading onto the film that is antithetical to the film's message. And we could say that both by being people that, let's say, are close readers of cinema, but also saying, relative to the corpus of Paul Verhoeven, it is clear that the reading offered here is not congruent with that filmmaker's corpus or something like that, you know? So I hope that we would at least, you know, was that fair, Henry?
I think so. I think you've dedicated some sincere effort to addressing the comment.
Yeah, so now we'll move on and let's just have some fucking fun, guys. It's Monday. Jesus Christ.
And convince people that, you know, of what it is to go in the right direction, remind them of the principles, and not just the issue of the day.
Right. Well, that's something
to get votes.
Right, exactly. Well, that's something like a prophetic spirit, right? That ability to.
I'll say this too, and maybe this is a fun challenge for us. Good filmmakers who lean or our right wing. The one I always think of is like, for example, Clint Eastwood. I think Clint Eastwood has pretty odious politics. He makes good movies, and I would never say that Clint Eastwood movies are bad because of his politics. Not all his movies are good. He's a good filmmaker.
See the current situation clearly and to see into the future and to put your finger exactly in the right spot. And it isn't the case, generally speaking, that American presidencies are founded on, say, a foreign policy vision, right? That's foreign policy is important, obviously, but it's.
I'm not going to respond to the politics stuff. We want to talk about
usually
movies.
Not central, and it's much easier for a president to default to some fast payoff local issue and to do that continually rather than to fight the battle he fought, which he really fought for decades, right?
Yeah.
Really, literally.
It's 2 minutes in to a 9-minute video called "Why We Go to the Movies," and I've yet to be. They haven't said why we go to the movies
For decades.
He was the first to say no to the Soviets, but his take was so brilliant, and it was disguised. And because his idea, and it wasn't originally his idea, it was, you know, it was from a lot of reading, research, and just time spent. He thought the answer was to bankrupt the Soviets.
Right.
Their economy is minuscule, even today, to what ours is. They had.
When he says even today, does he think that the Soviet Union is still a thing? Maybe there's a way to take what he said to say that relative to today's economy, but it kind of sounds like he just equated the Soviet Union with contemporary Russia.
Done so much military spending, and they were really, you know, things were so bad over there for the Soviet people, you know, the lines just to get food and this and that. And that
3 hours
he comes up with Star Wars.
Yeah. He just laughed. He said 3 hours for a cheap loaf of bread. I don't know. I don't think it's cool when people starve, but you do you, dog.
Yeah.
Which didn't really exist. He got the idea from the movie, you know, about lasers, you know, that are going to shoot down missiles in space. You know, it didn't exist. And Russians knew it.
I think it was just implied that Ronald Reagan came up with the idea for like anti-missile technology after he watched the movie Star Wars. I think that's what Dennis Quaid just implied.
It didn't exist. At least 90%. They knew it didn't exist, but it was that 10% that Reagan made him think about it. He didn't back off of it at all.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what.
That's a weird blend of fiction and fact.
That really tore them up.
Yeah.
3 minutes and 40 seconds in, and they've not told us why we go to the movies.
You know, and so they were on this military spending, and finally they just, you know, it just toppled.
The idea that George Lucas's idea for Star Wars was to encourage military spending is hilarious.
Yeah, so are they trying, or is he trying to illustrate that like Star Wars as a policy concept was just like so mind blowing the Soviet Union trembled?
Ah, I guess.
Like, we go to the movies so that the government can take the cool ideas, and then the cool things are so cool our enemies shake to death.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I just listen. I want everyone to like art. I want everyone to like cinema. I want it to be a universal space where we can
I
talk to people that aren't like us, but they're not giving us a lot so far.
the thing is, I want it to actually be art. Like, if somebody's perspective is beyond my own, like their thinking, like I want to see them like tangibly like illustrate that with like texture and emotion. Like, I don't want them to do that by taking a beloved movie and just saying it's about a completely different thing. Like, that's
Yeah.
criticism. It's a different realm.
And you know, it would also be incredibly boring. Like it would be incredibly boring if someone said, "Oh, you know, an interesting thing about the Safdie brothers is that Bernie Sanders watched Uncut Gems and had an idea about the 4-day work week."
Yeah.
That was a, you know, what I mean? I would just be like, that's not saying anything interesting about either art or politics, really. And if anything, it's scary to me. Like politicians, I don't know, in general, maybe shouldn't get ideas about military policy from movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let's see, guys. I'm sure they're gonna say something great. To everyone out there who's just thinking, you know, why aren't they being fair to Jordan and Dennis? Jordan and Dennis haven't said anything yet. If they say a thing of substance, we would love to talk about it.
That's really what brought the Soviet Union down.
Yeah, well, that's a remarkable climax to a life spent that that originated in local fighting with the communists in the unions in Hollywood. Yeah, yeah. So how did you prepare?
And okay, so here's the thing we'll say. The idea that one would say that Ronald Reagan did something good in his fighting with unions and quote unquote communists in Hollywood is a good thing is, I mean, historically inaccurate in a number of ways, right? I mean, like, I don't know, watch the movie Trumbo. Uh and just ignore the part where like Louis C.K. is there. It feels a little weird. But you know, I don't think there's any way you could argue that what happened in Hollywood during that era, the blacklisting and the uh, you know, the House Un-American Activities Committee or whatever it was, it's really hard to historically look back and say that any of that was good, either politically or creatively. We know that many people's careers and lives were ruined. I mean, even like Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movies, has a good thing about this. But you know, we're talking about for to be really reductive, a lot of like nerdy, artsy, a lot of them European Jewish screenwriters had their lives ruined because they read books and they considered the idea that dominant American ideology was maybe not the only way to think. You know, even if you watch that horrible Aaron Sorkin movie about Lucille Ball, like Lucille Ball almost had her career ruined because of an association with quote unquote communism. Now, and the other thing, you know, when he says that Reagan was victorious or something for fighting against the unions, like, was anyone just alive for when Hollywood unions went on strike for a very long time? And in general, people were incredibly for that because what they were sticking up for is the livelihoods of workers making stuff that we like a lot in a really successful industry. Look at how people in Hollywood were treated like pre-unionization. It was horrible. So to act and then to even look at like creativity in Hollywood pre and post unionization, like obviously this has a better effect on the livelihoods of people that work in the film industry, but it led to better art. So, but let's see, they're going to say something good.
To like, how much work did you do, biographical work and so forth? I don't know exactly how you would prepare.
Well,
for
a lot of
role
it,
like that.
a lot of it, I'd lived through. I'd lived through the times. That
Yeah.
had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I was a history buff to begin with. So, like, you know, I remember the stuff. But I watched YouTube was really great because you have all of those. You have
And it's like how quickly, I mean, listen, I get the irony of me laughing at someone saying they learned stuff on YouTube, but that was a fun pitch.
everything.
Uh-huh.
You can go back and see. And you know, what do you get to? I work outside in a lot, so I work on the physical, has a person walk, talk, and then from that it goes inside, and I realize why that is. For instance, like Reagan had like a crooked smile.
I don't think I'm opining. I think I'm talking about the historical context of what they're saying. I do like that some people watch this just because they hate me. I guess that's kind of fun. But I think anyone who watches this because they hate me, you'd probably like me if we hung out. I'm a pretty good hang, pretty mellow guy, you know. So open invitation. If anyone watches this because they hate me, if you're in the Los Angeles area, hit me up. We'll get a coffee or a beer, and then we'll see if you still hate me at the end.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
this is
good.
kind of held
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
right.
And there was, and after you do that a while, you realize, well, why is that?
Why do we go to
And
the
Oh,
it's
yeah.
movies?
because-
That's why you look like him
It's
in the movie.
because,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
there's some muscles that are,
Wait, is there like a bad movie that came out recently where Dennis Quaid plays Ronald Reagan, by the way? Is that the context for this?
I am not sure. Let me look into that.
Maybe just Google it or something. I don't, because yeah, I wonder if that's why we're doing this.
deadened it in his face.
Yeah.
From what, I don't know, but that's, that leads you to the inside of a person, of where they came from. The way he walked, the way he, the way a person grooms themselves, the way they, the
Yeah, if you like me, I'm never buying you coffee.
image they put out. And then there's
You can buy me a coffee.
really, when you get down to that's the outside, and you have all the news stories and stuff. But I talked to a lot of people who knew him personally.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's really where it formed.
6 minutes in, and they've now told us why we go to the movies.
I didn't want to do an impersonation. That's the thing that scared me. More than
Yeah.
anything of, doing an impersonation.
What's the difference?
Because it's
Dennis Quaid is talking like he's Daniel Day-Lewis right now, which I find very funny. I mean, here's a hot take. This isn't a political take. Dennis Quaid's like not a great actor. Like no one's ever made a list of top 20 American actors and put Dennis Quaid on that list. He's been in some fun stuff. Back in the day, he was like a charming rake in some rom-com type stuff. You believe that he was a guy who was out there getting it, but I don't think we think of him as some sort of serious actor.
that impersonation is an act. It's like something you'd see on Saturday Night
Yeah,
Live.
yeah.
It's the getting down to who the person is, the real person, is quite another thing. A personal side. It really humanizes them.
Yeah.
Makes them singular.
I just want to talk about movies. Can they say something so we could talk about movies?
I like to get a part of a real person, of which I've played many. I'd like to tell it their story from their point of view.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
not from the outside about
Right.
what we thought of them, and not
Right.
for me to really. I try not to comment too much. I try to tell it from their point of view.
Okay,
What
how-
is it like? The question is, what if me,
Mhm.
were this person
Yeah.
in this situation?
Right. Well, and that's also what you're transmitting to the audience, right?
Yeah.
That opportunity. So
It's 7 minutes in and they haven't talked about why we go to the movies. Also, since we started this video, they changed the thumbnail of it on YouTube now, and it's Jordan Peterson and Dennis Quaid with a portrait of Ronald Reagan in the middle. Henry, did we find any information out about him playing?
I only
Um,
found a horror movie he was in recently, and that he's in the Bass Reeves show. But I didn't see any kind of I didn't see any biopic or anything else that I think this was for. So I'm still searching up why he's currently just making rounds, I guess.
Cool. Just keep the vibes good in the chat. I want to say that I mean this very genuinely. Jay said in the chat he doesn't like listening to people that agree with me, hence my being here and not on Peterson's channel. I actually do appreciate that. I think that's very cool of you to do and to spend time with us. And I hope that we can. I'm glad that we're tolerably people you don't agree with, because I actually do like learning. I wouldn't even say learning, listening to and watching stuff by people I don't agree with. I don't like it when they just yell at me and tell me I'm going to hell or whatever. So hopefully I'm not creating too bad of a vibe. We have 2 minutes and 23 seconds left of this video. I just want to talk about the goddamn movies.
part of the reason that we go to see movies is because by
Here we go.
watching the people on
Guys, here we go. This is it. That was all just the warm up, and now Nancy's about to throw at us, and we're going to get into it.
And by noting their characterization, we can adopt their aim.
Okay, so he says when we go to the movies, we adopt the aim of the character that we're watching. I don't know. Interesting in so much as that I feel like it's a pretty and again, we're gonna hear him out.
There is a 2024 film just called Reagan coming out with Quaid playing Reagan.
Okay, well, there you go. Probably direct to streaming. But yeah, so it seems like Peterson is setting up the idea, and we're gonna hear him out. We're not prejudging. I'm just saying what it sounds like he's saying right now. That we watch movies to embody the ideas of the characters that we're watching. Now, we did play around
Theatrically scheduled August 30th, 2024.
Guys, are you ready for Wisecrack's first meetup at the movies? With something, I mean, that's an interesting idea. Here's what I want to contrast it with. We got playful with the thumb today. We obviously have a reference to Roger Ebert there, who famously said, we've talked about this so many times, that movies are machines for the making of empathy. I think that for someone like Ebert, the point of cinema was less to embody the like ideas of the person, but to have a more visceral and empathetic experience of humanity that expands our own humanity and expands the boundaries of our empathy. Again, if you're here and you think that you hate our ideological views, politics, we don't have any or anything like that, at baseline, just know this: empathy. Really like empathy. I think we should have more empathy for people. I think the boundaries of our empathy should be longer, wider. So I'm curious what Peterson's going to go on to say.
And as soon as we adopt our emotions orient themselves around aim. And so if you can embody a character.
Our emotions orient themselves around aim. Yeah. I mean, pretty like Aristotelian there. See, I'm listening to Jordan Peterson talk. I'm not just being like, oh, I'm Canadian. Because I'm afraid of Canada. I do not want them to send me back there. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Tensions.
Yeah, exactly. If you can characterize a person's aims, then you can invite the audience to adopt their perspective, right? And that means they can live being Reagan, for example, in the course of the movie.
That's why we go to the movies.
Absolutely.
So when we see Reagan, yeah, I mean, I felt like when I watched the movie, what was that movie called, Dick? The one that Adam McKay made about Cheney? I felt like that movie invited me.
Vice,
sorry, to adopt the perspective of Dick Cheney, and I hated myself from doing that. Now, I think that, let's be fair, I think it is true that certain movies 100% invite us into the perspective of a protagonist and ask of us that we, I guess, understand that person. I think that that's often not the case with political films, though, or like movies about politicians.
Yeah, I want to bring up, so like I've seen Lady Ballers and Sound of Freedom, and I find an interest in like the political art more than like the political critique, because it's trying to, again, just articulate a sense of reality. I just don't know what it looks like, so showing me what it looks like is nice. But then I think of a movie like Dragged Across Concrete, which Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn are cops in it. It's a very brutal movie. It has been critiqued as being reactionary. And while its protagonist is reactionary, it is a movie that still acknowledges like these social conditions are deteriorating in a way where like crime and morality and ethics, like the lines start getting blurred. Like it's not a Law and Order movie. It just has a protagonist who doesn't even have a sense of law and order, and you clearly see that character's like made that choice because of the conditions of their environment. It's, sociologically interesting beyond like being a political polemic thing.
Yeah. JP's Jack in the chat says, I watch Godzilla so I could be a big fucking lizard for 2 hours.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, one thing that this makes me think of is that it makes me think of like Scorsese films, right? Because I guess you could watch a Scorsese film, and if we're going to use the Peterson lens here, I guess you watch Taxi Driver, and you could, I guess, see the teleological aim or lack of aim of someone like a Travis Bickle character. Yeah. I think in that instance, and this is my word, not Peterson's, it's, less about, of course, like empathy, but more about like experiencing the darkness, the psychosis, the underlying dysfunction of American culture. I think if you look at most Scorsese films, they're doing some of that. So I think when we watch Goodfellas, why did I forget the Ray Liotta character's name? But the protagonist of Goodfellas, I don't think there's a
Henry.
Henry, right? I mean, maybe there's some points early in the film where we can, identify to an extent with Henry, but I think what Scorsese does in a movie like that in a lot of his films is takes a protagonist and shows how a sort of moral downfall happens and shows how that often happens because of a logic that's built into society. And often, even like Killers of the Flower Moon, the reason that movie is so impactful and so dark is that the logic embodied by our main characters, who are all pretty evil, is a logic that is inherent to America, or at least was inherent to the America of that time and what it meant to be, a white American living on native land. And I think in that sense, it's less that we are, considering the perspective or the ideas of the Henry Hill character, but we're sort of, I guess, we're made to confront something that pushes us back towards ourselves, which I think is something great about
Yeah,
movies.
it's kind of the Catholic thing coming through with Scorsese showing you the
Yeah,
temptation. You're kind of Jesus
yeah,
in the desert with his movies. You're seeing things that by a certain societal standard are supposed to be illicit, illegal, amoral. Don't mess with it. But then at the same time, you're like, this is kind of sexy, or like this is pretty fun. This
yes,
cinematic detachment like really makes that part prominent in it.
yeah. But they're never really. I mean, they're great because a lot of Scorsese. I don't know. I mean, listen, we're talking about Scorsese. You can't be mad at us for that. I think that a great thing with Scorsese is that like it's never didactic. He's never like think this, don't think that.
Right.
Here's a person, think what they think. It's way more visceral, and I think the Catholicism thing you just put in there is perfect, Henry. So I won't say anything else because that was perfect. Um, but let's go back, and again, if you're paying attention to this stream and you're thinking, how are these libtards gonna come at my boy JP? I think thus far we like are kind of taking seriously what he's saying, offering a potentially different perspective. But I'm 100% not saying what he said thus far about movies is not like dumb, But let's keep going.
And so I
Yeah.
have to. So how long did you play Reagan, and what was the effect of that on you? Like, I'm curious. When you embody these characters so deeply, it has to, because you're really occupying a different perspective.
I will say this, and maybe I'm going to say this only because I think one of you might also be in this mindset right now. I just keep imagining Jordan Peterson talking to Daniel Day-Lewis about playing Lincoln or something. And I can imagine how Daniel Day-Lewis would react to Jordan Peterson talking to him about cinema, and it would be so good. Um, love to hear in the chat, actors or filmmakers you would love to sit down with Jordan Peterson. Um, Paul Thomas Anderson would be pretty funny, or maybe Wes Anderson, because then Wes Anderson. Do you think that if Jordan Peterson sat down with Wes Anderson, would Jordan Peterson try to sartorially match the energy of Wes Anderson?
Yeah, I think he'd be very nervous about what to wear to that.
Who wouldn't be? I think if I was ever going to sit down with Wes Anderson, I would wear sweatpants and a ripped t-shirt to just show I'm not even trying. Like as a way to submit, like the way that animals in the wild when they're scared will like bow their head and back away. I would try to do that with my clothes. Let's keep going.
It has to change you, I would presume.
Um, I find myself like never really asking that question.
Boots Riley,
Um,
Helen.
it's something to me. It's about learning about. It's about learning about myself. Yeah, I don't know how to sometimes articulate that. But and I have learned to just leave the character.
It's also hard to evaluate this without seeing the movie, right? Because maybe this Reagan film, at worst, maybe it's just like hagiography, in which Ronald Reagan is presented as some sort of hero. I think, Henry, before reference, like Lady Ballers and Sound of Freedom, I think sometimes what we see in ideologically conservative cinema, I mean, we saw this in like the Gods and Not Dead films as well, is protagonists who are just good. Protagonists that do not have an essential character transformation, who do not fail and grow. Now, I have not watched Lady Ballers. I did watch the Some More News 2-hour video about Lady Ballers, and I trust Cody and the team on that channel. I trust, Henry's seen that movie as well. I think they are probably correct when they say that that is a 2-hour movie in which the protagonist does not change or grow or struggle, but rather continue to do who they are, to just be who they are, and the world sort of adapts or responds to them. I'm sure all of you in the chat know this, so this is me. I'm not trying to dumb it down, but we probably know that in a great novel, in a great play, in a great film, we see a protagonist go on a journey. Now, sometimes, if it's a tragedy, we see the way in which their attempt to succeed or get better leads to a downfall. In other ways, we kind of classically see how, if we look at like a sort of act structure, often there's a character and the character has a problem and they try to solve the problem in a way that's like easy, that doesn't involve sacrifice. When they try to solve the problem in a way that doesn't involve sacrifice, they fail even worse. It leads to a sort of like dark night of the soul period. Some of this is like Joseph Campbell story circle stuff. And then of course, eventually we see a character have to change or sacrifice or go through something that leads to a transformation, and that character transformation allows them to approach some initial problem in a new way. And it's one of those things where like, maybe this Reagan film does that. Maybe the Reagan film shows fundamental contradictions and problems and inadequacies in the person of Ronald Reagan, and Dennis Quaid explores that in a way that gives us a complex picture of the man. If, however, it's a movie where Ronald Reagan is just like, he goes through some stuff, but then he's good, that's not cinema. You know what I mean? It's not doing anything.
Yeah,
but who knows?
There's a
Go
lot
ahead,
of, I was going to say, there's a lot of trust an actor invests in, like, just like doing their thing and letting the camera record them, and who knows what the final product's going to be. Like, yeah, it would be curious if Quaid was completely fooled by a producer into just like making a pick that's going to tear hard into Reagan, and they just wanted someone to sincerely play Reagan. We'll see.
Yeah, someone brought up Hero's Journey. Yeah. That's what I was referencing. But it's not just a Joseph Campbell thing. It's in a lot of screenwriting stuff. Someone said Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey might be the best response yet, because McConaughey would probably, like, Peterson would say a thing, and rather than argue, McConaughey would be like, I get it, exactly. It's like what you're saying, you embody that, you put it down, you make a little cocktail out of that, you drink it, you ride a snake, it's a big snake, you're in the desert, and that's how we get there. And I think McConaughey could potentially put Peterson in a position where he would be like, I need to bloody go, or something. Yeah, Eddie, propaganda is what I was doing a bad job of describing. Taranjot, you're probably right. Probably is going to be straight crap. Hey guys, thanks for being here. We'll hang out for a few more minutes. This is Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays. It's our mellow Monday stream to start the week off. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Probably not going to get to everything on our rundown today, so we can talk about more on Wednesday. Just a reminder, again, I told you about this before. I'm going to put a thing in the chat right now. We've put all our stuff on Spotify. We're going to be rolling out some new things there. We might, this is a tease, might be bringing back some movie-related content on our Spotify. So do check that out if you're a Spotify user. And again, I get it, there's problems with Spotify, problems with everything. If you are a Spotify user, please click that link, open it up on your app, give us a follow, give us 5 stars. It's going to help us out. And, they did it. So someone said McConaughey and Peterson did a podcast together. We're going to have to check that out later. But King Ports call. See you later. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, check out the Spotify. That would be great. And make sure, set your alarm, come back Wednesday for some more, but let's continue to learn why we go to the movies. And I'll say this too. The most interesting thing was that 1 minute where Jordan Peterson talked about kind of the psychology of why we go to the cinema. I'd rather just hear a bunch of that.
Character at the end of the take, in fact, just like go do something else.
Right.
Because it's kind of like osmosis. I've already done all the work, and now just let the subconscious work.
Right. So you can leave it. See, there's one of the things that you learn as a therapist is to because you're listening to people and
Yeah.
you're trying to adopt their perspective. But if you take that home with you, then you can't
Bad
manage
things.
it over time.
Bad things.
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah.
And
It's not a
indeed,
good idea.
they have happened to me.
Right.
You know,
This also shows one of my Peterson theories. I know I think about this too much, and you're right if you think that I think about this too much. He does this kind of energy matching thing where if it's someone that he perceives as smarter than himself, more famous, more notable, like if this is the first, okay, if you knew nothing about Jordan Peterson and you just watched this, you'd be like, that's kind of weird that guy likes Reagan so much, but he kind of seems like a guy. You know what I mean? He just seems like a guy. If you watched his, interview with the late Daniel Dennett, we watched on the stream, you might just say, he seems kind of like a tryhard, not as smart about philosophy as he thinks he is, but he's a guy. But then you watch him the other stuff, and you're like, holy crap, this guy's just like screaming at trans children. So it's almost like whenever he is talking to someone that he seems to perceive as below him, or that he's more powerful than, or that's crazier than him, he goes for it. But then if he's around a Daniel Dennett or a Dennis Quaid, anyone whose name starts with a D, I think he respects the D, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love when I played Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh yeah. Well, tell me about that.
Because I didn't believe that.
When he played Jerry Lee Lewis, I think he actually married a 13-year-old.
Yeah, at the set, to tell you the truth. And
that was Great Balls of Fire?
Yeah, it was Great Balls of Fire. And so, I wound at the end, about 6 months after it came out, or maybe a year. Yeah, I was in rehab.
Oh no. That was it. That wasn't a lot. So I guess the point of that is to make us subscribe to watch the rest of it. Listen, I'm gonna give a takeaway. They posted that video, and I guess it's just an ad or something like that, but we just didn't get a lot. Cheaper by the dozen, totally. I just wanted more. I really wanted more of Jordan Peterson and Dennis Quaid talking about cinema. I wanted to hear more about Peterson's view on that sort of thing.
Yeah, because Peterson sort of seems like he's guiding Quaid towards like this idea he has on movies and narratives being, where you essentially like download your ethos from.
Yeah. There you go. I'm curious what people thought about that. I know we're getting comments on the beard. It's insane. Oh, someone said that was the end of the interview. Okay. Yeah, the beard is bad. I've been through some stuff. I haven't been through some stuff. Well, I'll tell you what I have been through, guys. Personal story time. I went to Las Vegas for the first time ever last week. Henry, have you been to Las Vegas before?
Yes, it was a long time ago though.
Yeah, it was my first time. I think it was the worst place I've ever been in my entire life. I'm very sorry if any of you are Vegas natives. I'm sure in the same way that, I spent a bunch of my childhood in Orlando and people would say Orlando is terrible, but it's just because of the theme parks. And I would always say, outside the theme parks, there's actually a lot of cool stuff. I'm sure Vegas is the same way, but I hated it so much. Mr. Demino, I feel like I wasted the last 30 minutes as well. But I was in Vegas for like 24 hours and I literally got heat exhaustion and felt sick for 2 days because I walked around outside in 100-degree weather and I wasn't really ready for it. Wasn't really ready for it. So maybe someone brought up that, he releases the trailer. So maybe we'll watch some more of that later. I did not see Beatles Love Cirque du Soleil. I did go to the Sphere. I very much enjoyed the Sphere. It was fun. So a few things, I don't think we're going to probably get to read this right now. I'm going to post a link in the chat. Seth Simons, Simmons, a really good comedy writer, has a thing in the Daily Beast about Jerry Seinfeld. We can even, if you want to pull it up, Henry, we can. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting the thing when I pull it up now where it says I have to register to keep reading. But Seinfeld's been going through it a little bit recently because people do not like his politics and stance towards the current conflict and situation in the Middle East. And I think, it's interesting that Jerry Seinfeld is someone who's largely been pretty apolitical his entire career, but now he's going for it. And Porkins, the Sphere is a much rounder dome than my dome. It was amazing, though. I really thought it was amazing. Like visually, technologically, it was really freaking cool. So, I just encourage you to check out that article by Seth Simons. A couple videos we'll recommend that have come out recently. Our friend Tom Nicholas put out a huge video on why British cities are going bankrupt. He goes beyond what most YouTube hosts do, and he gets in the streets. He gets into the streets and checks it out. So I would watch that. Alice Capel has a new video on why no one wants to go to college anymore. Maybe we should end with, I haven't really watched this. We watched this crazy AOC thing. Yeah, it's a short clip. Let's watch this. I want to end with this. So two of our favorite people, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because we're not ideological, we like them both equally, had a little clash in a U.S. House hearing. For those of you that aren't American, U.S. politics is just becoming increasingly absurd, and we can talk about this from an apolitical stance, just from a theatrical level. It's getting real crazy. So let's just watch this. It's a fun thing to do. Thanks. Yeah. Just a little moment here. So thank you for hanging out, guys. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Okay? Please do it. Please do it. Hey, Melanie Cosmic Fox, that's really unfair what you said about Jerry Seinfeld. He didn't date a 16-year-old. He dated a 17-year-old. And when Jerry dated, I always think when Jerry dated a 17-year-old, he was the same age I am now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch this clip.
Do you know what we're here for? We're here about
just
AG.
I
don't think you
point
know
of
what
order.
you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Ooh. It's not good. That's not what you want to do in government.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
you.
please regain order of your committee?
Order.
I mean, that's not good, right? You want to do that, right? We're doing politics. We can't make fun of people's eyelashes.
Point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your
Move
feelings
her
hurt?
words down.
Oh, I love this move, by the way. I love the "Are your feelings hurt" move. I love it so much. That's I'm gonna say this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't have
Words
politics.
down.
Aw.
Oh, I do want to. Well, I'm not gonna say what I want to say. Never mind. I'll maybe say it in a second.
Girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't
We
think
are gonna
so.
move and we're gonna take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second
much.
that motion.
You agree to strike your words?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
agree.
Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
should
recognizes-
apologize.
That's kind of cool though in government. You could say something and then you just like strike your words and it's like they didn't exist. Wouldn't that be fun in arguments? Don't we all wish that when we have a fight with our boss or our partner, we just be like, oh, I just want to strike that. I want to strike that. Wow.
No. She has
Perry,
to
okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
still has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Kerr,
apologizing.
Now let's go.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch.
I didn't know that was coming. I didn't know that part was coming. Starts talking about someone's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. I'm laughing because I love alliteration. I'm a big alliteration head. Holy crap. I think this is one of those instances. I know this is cliche to say, but it's a real fuck around and find out sort of thing where like someone thinks that they are ready to play, but then they're not. It reminds me of the Drake and Kendrick beef we talked about where Drake was definitely the Marjorie Taylor Greene for a number of reasons here and thought that he was ready to play. And then Kendrick was like, you are not ready to play. That is amazing. And listen, is it good? Is it mature? No, but like, you know what? She started it.
Body that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
I mean, this is great, guys. America's awesome. I take back everything negative I've ever said.
What
America. This
now?
rips. I mean, here's what we're doing here, though. Let's be Hegelian. I think we're doing a performance of contradictions in that if one said, I mean, there's something that, and like Zizek talks about this a lot, that one of the best ways to subvert dominant ideology is to follow the letter of the law, quite literally. I mean, it's like it's why children are brilliant, because when a parent tells a kid, like, you can only do this thing, and the child will always find a way to quite literally follow the rules while either continually transgressing the point of that rules or undermining the logic of the rules themselves. I think this response is really great, because it's like, oh, okay, so we can just attack the appearance of someone, but that's cool. So hypothetically, if I were to say, what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
parliament.
Oh, that's fun, guys. That's fun. America's a fun country. If you're not from America, come here. We want you. We want you here. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. And JP Jagged said, that was pretty insidious, though. Republicans introduced the bill. There's supposed to be comments and debates. However, the outbursts use up the time. Yeah. Well, malicious compliance. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Brits have some good ones, too. Julia, what's up? In hopes we get an AOC diss track. Julia, we hope that, Drake has not been roaming the streets of Toronto, being a jerk. Julia, I was thinking about your work as a city planner. Something we should talk about at some point. I watched a thing in the news yesterday, or it was like a CBS show. We talked about this a bit, about the billionaires who are trying to build their own city in Northern California. It's a bunch of tech guys, and none of them have experience in city planning or any of this stuff, but they think they can build a magical city where they can ship all the poor people out of San Francisco and put them there. And it's very wild. It's very wild. Okay, everyone, we're going to wrap up in a sec. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Michael, been hanging out with Henry, been hanging out with you all. Again, I'll give one last plug. If you haven't done it yet, check out the Spotify. It's a new thing. Emily, we're about to leave as well. So check out our Spotify. Again, hit us up at wisecracklive666@gmail.com. And, if you have advice or thoughts, we want to start doing an advice segment on Wednesdays. Half serious, half unserious, meaning that if you ask us for advice on something that's in like a serious realm, we'll treat it seriously. We'll do our best. But we'd also like advice if anyone needs like relationship advice, work advice, things where we could give you objectively bad advice. We would love that as well. Eddie, I would love a Wisecrack conference. That would be so much fun. Like the stream on the way out. And as always, if you have it and you consider supporting our Patreon, but I get it. Money sucks. It's hard. That sort of thing. Sorry that we didn't get as much depth as we thought we might out of the Peterson On Cinema discussion. So, come back later for, Peterson with On Cinema at the Cinema. And we'll catch you on Wednesday. So set a reminder.
Tim
Wednesday,
Heidecker in the room with Peterson would be...
That would
wow.
be awesome. And Eddie, I saw your email and I flagged that for Wednesday. Would love to talk about that. Ann Porkins, advice questions on how cute NBA superstars are. We would love to talk about the cuteness of NBA superstars. So thanks for liking the stream. Thanks for hanging out. We got a lot of stuff we'll talk about on Wednesday. Everyone have a really good week. It's Monday. Guys, we can get through this. We can get through this. All you got to do is survive tomorrow, and we'll be together Wednesday. Then you got to survive Thursday. We'll have a new video out on Friday. In the meantime, all of you that are on the Discord server, we'll see you there. Thanks as always to Henry, the producer with the mostest. That did not rhyme, but I said it anyways. We'll see you next time. This has been Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays.
Have a merry Monday, y'all. See you Wednesday.